Hello and welcome to episode 161 of the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet, Super Switch Headz. My name is Patrick Nisley.
My name is Matthew Stoner.
My name is David Howe, and boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest on tonight's episode. LynCreates has joined the podcast. How's it going, Lynn?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's going.
Awesome. Better than not.
Lynn is here to talk with us about Nintendo Switch Sports, also known as David calls it as Wii Sports 4.
It is the fourth game in the Wii Sports series.
I can't stop calling it Wii Sports.
Yeah.
Something about Switch Sports just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, does not roll off the tongue.
But we're going to talk about that game just came out, and so we're going to give our thoughts and opinions about how it has been swinging those Joy-Cons around and playing random people online and so on. And we got a lot of news too. We're going to be talking some Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Nintendo's been dropping lots of little, I don't know, lore, story, combat info. Matt's going to hopefully help us understand that stuff.
Hopefully.
And I don't know how much detail we're getting into, but there's been a bit of a leak about the Mario movie. So I guess we'll give some spoiler warnings to the extent that we actually do dig into any of that. And some more stuff too. But before we talk about anything like that, how's everyone doing this week?
I'm
Got some
good.
nodding.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Pretty good over here.
Polite nod.
Yeah. What I'm trying to think of what happened this week. Played a lot of Switch Sports.
Me too.
And ate a lot of like fried chicken this week. Just like a lot of fried chicken. I'm like doing the tally in my head. I'm
We
like,
talking some tendies or some nuggies? What's the form?
tendies. Okay, I'm not 5 years old. Okay.
Hey, yeah.
Tendies, I'm not fine.
I eat long nuggets. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
I only eat nuggets if they're shaped like dinosaurs. So.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I've been watching a little bit of that show Winning Time on HBO. I've been enjoying that quite a bit, actually. The like show about the LA Lakers in the 70s and 80s. It's pretty good.
That sounds good. We had an improv show. That was fun, David. That was last week.
That happened.
Yeah, that was last
fun.
week. That was super fun. It's always great to play with Good Fight.
Yeah, that was actually one of my favorite shows in a while. I had a really good time at that one.
So silly, over the top.
Yeah, I actually had the pleasure of going to PAX East
nice.
in
Cool.
Boston. And let me tell you, pretty underwhelming, actually. There were not a lot
bummer.
of big names there. You have, your classic indie, Tiny Build and Devolver and stuff like that. But it was a kind of disappointing turnout. I'm not going to lie.
They're kind of like
Sorry to
wading
hear
their toes back in the convention pool, I guess, the big companies.
Yeah, I think between that and I think just staffing and justifying spending the money to go to something like that has been difficult for some people.
Yeah.
What was the community reaction to the convention, or like what it's currently at? Like what the state is at?
I heard a lot of the same about what I just said about just it being underwhelming as far as the turnout, but really no one had any big announcements. It's not something that Nintendo typically goes to, or but you're missing almost every major game company. So there wasn't much going on.
We'll see. We're in changing times as far as game conventions are concerned. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Patrick? How was your week?
It's going all right. Just doing some more game jam stuff. And big personal news here is we got solar panels installed on our house, which
very good.
Feeling excited about that. I don't know that other people care, but it's a big thing for me.
Is this show being brought to you by the sun right now?
They still have to be approved by the electric company. There's like a lot of hoops you got to jump through. So they aren't on, though they work.
Just flip it on. Just flip the switch
until the electric company like comes and like takes their piece of the pie or whatever. I guess I don't know how it works, but so yeah. So that's what's going on with me. Yeah, things are
cool.
good.
Very good. Look, it sounds like we're all having great weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
A polite nod kind of week.
Yeah.
So last week we did an episode about the 3DS and the impending it's not exactly closing, but there's sort of phases of closing that are happening with the 3DS eShop. And so we talked about some games that are kind of unique to the 3DS eShop that people might want to check out. And we got some great comments all over from different platforms. On Discord, wanted to shout out the Huge 27, who mentioned that at least right now, the 3DS and Switch accounts share funds. So if you kind of have those tied together, we don't know what's going to happen with that, but I guess there's a possibility that maybe you'll be able to add stuff to the Switch and kind of use it on 3DS. They might shut that down. We'll see.
That's the next thing they're shutting down after this initial one. So it's like they're making it to where you can't add funds directly on the system, but if you add them through your Switch, and it'll show up on that, I think until like early next year, maybe even.
There you go. So there's sort of a backdoor thing we didn't really talk about last week that to be aware of if you want to take your time a little bit. DCD on the Discord was excited that you hated on pickleball. David.
Fuck fucking pickleball, dude. Yeah.
That's a double fuck there.
Yeah.
Fuck fucking pickle fucking ball.
We're a badminton podcast.
We're a badminton podcast.
No,
that's right.
No,
you don't see pickleball
big table
in Switch
tennis.
Sports. Yeah.
Also on the Discord, Summer mentioned something we didn't mention, which is the Fire Emblem Awakening DLC maps, which I assume you can only download from your 3DS. So that's something else. And Swappy Southpaw was happy to have us tip them off to the Twilight Princess Picross on the 3DS and said Picross Headz. So over on Facebook, Vincent Goodwin was excited about the reference to a Donkey Kong 94. That is the 100% correct. That's the best original Game Boy game, and sad that Mario Maker never had a Donkey Kong 94.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got sad that that's not a thing.
And then I also wanted to shout out to Eric Allen, who I missed adding to the show notes on the previous episode. They gave us a really nice comment on Facebook about being one of the best Switch podcasts out there. So thanks for that kind comment.
Can I give one shout out before we move on?
Oh, please do.
I just want to shout out from our own Discord, Rapatika. Dylan Muss had me on his podcast, Geekverse Side Quest, I believe it's called. And we actually just talked about Switch Sports over on his podcast. So if you finish this podcast and you're like, I need more discussion of Switch Sports, go listen to that one. Give them a subscribe. They're on YouTube as well and all that kind of stuff.
Very cool. So yeah, we do like hearing from viewers and listeners. So do send us a note or give us a review somewhere online or share the podcast. We appreciate that kind of stuff. And also over on YouTube, we do appreciate the likes and the subscribes. And we're going to talk about a bunch of Nintendo and gaming news now. First up is that Xenoblade stuff. So they've been trickling out lots of details about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, right? And some of this is, I think, only from the Japanese site. So some of it's been come out by like the Western Nintendo Twitter accounts, but some of it hasn't been. I'm gonna do a poor job of explaining this, Matthew, but right, like they there's some new things about how they talk about movement in battles and like you can put your weapon away to move faster and then there's been like characters shown off and stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, there's nothing short of tutorials on Twitter about Xenoblade. Generally, Xenoblade is a great franchise where we get tweets about the mechanics of a game before the game comes out.
And then for the first 20 hours, you're still going through tutorials.
Exactly. Yeah. If you've never played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you really don't get used to the game until like 20, 25 hours in. So it's very true. Briefly, they talk about some of the class systems in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, attacker, defender, and healer. Looks like it'll have a blade system similar to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. How the class system and the blade system kind of work together is TBD. But always check out Nintendo's Twitter account to kind of learn more of what the blue line means and what the colors mean in a very busy Xenoblade screen.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about UI. There's a lot of UI in those Xenoblade games.
What day it's coming July, right? What day is Xenoblade 3 coming out?
29, I want to say something like that.
Okay,
is that right?
Yeah. So it really feels like the marketing push is already kind of taken off, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like 3 months out now, pretty much until the game comes out. So really seems like they're trying to sell this one and get people hyped up on it pretty early, with all this. It's like 3 months early is quite a bit to go into detail on, the mechanics of the game in a tweet.
Yeah, I know.
But hey, more power to him.
Something else that's coming pretty soon is the changes to the Sony PlayStation, the Plus, the various, all the different tiers they're gonna have there. The extra. I don't know.
Extra premium essential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It rolls right off the tongue. So unlike Microsoft, where you could kind of pre-purchase these things and put them on your account to kind of lock in a cheaper rate for the future, PlayStation, unfortunately, though I don't know that we can blame them too much for this. I don't know how y'all feel about this. Is kind of like put a block on that. Like I don't think you can even currently stack things, but they've said that once they allow stacking, it'll be value based rather than so if you bought a thing for $20, it's going to count as $20 or whatever towards the tiers. Does that make sense? Am I explaining this well?
Kinda, yeah. It's like, as I understand it, because what was happening was basically people were buying like 3 or 4 or 5 years of PlayStation Now, stacking it up, and then having that convert to the $120 a year version of PlayStation Premium, where and saving 50% basically. And so I think enough people were really doing that, really abusing it. Why wouldn't you? It's a really good deal. I kind of regret not having done it now. I don't even have a PS5, but it's like, but it's like now they've made it to where it just doesn't work. And if you do 60, it'll be like, if you get a $60 thing that's now, it'll be a little bit less than a whole year, but still an amount of premium. So it doesn't make. I think you did a fine job explaining it. I think it just itself is confusing.
You see the problem, right?
Yeah.
You can't scam Sony. No scam.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even. It seems like they didn't even think about what they would do about that. You know what I mean? I feel like they didn't even stop to think that, like, oh shit, people, we do need to, actually redeem these. So they were just having it go for the full amount, and I think they just didn't really think it through. And then they're like, oh shit, we're losing so much money. That's my theory. I'm also a Sony insider, so I know what I'm talking about.
Lynn, do you play PlayStation, or you?
I do, and I actually do have a PlayStation Plus subscription that I've been paying for years, and I don't think I've turned my PlayStation on in 2 of those years, and I'm still paying for the. So you won't hear Sony complain about me giving them money.
Yeah. You're their like golden goose, like they just want people to forget they have it. Yeah.
I really am that, and gym memberships for me are just like.
But what if you go back? What if one day you wake up and you're like, I don't want to sign up again.
That's exactly it. That's my plan, is that there are PlayStation exclusives that I'm really interested in. I just have spent so much time on my PC that it's just not as shiny. I'm not like, oh yeah, let me sit down and play with my controller for a couple hours. I just
someday you'll go back and play that one PlayStation Plus game you downloaded 3 years ago at the gym.
And I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to love every second of it.
Yeah.
Well, next up, we're talking again about Activision Blizzard and the impending purchase by Microsoft. So one of the sort of steps for this to happen is that stockholders had to vote to approve this proposal for them to be acquired, and that has happened. So this, within the last week, the Activision Blizzard's shareholders all had a vote, and it sounds like a surprising amount of people voted. I don't know the exact. I haven't seen if it's even anywhere the exact like results of the vote, but they have voted in favor of that. So
I thought it was like widely unanimous. I thought I saw something like 98% voted in favor.
I think that. Oh, maybe that was the 98% in favor. I thought it was just 98% of
people really hate Bobby Kotick, I guess.
I think what I was saying was wrong. It's not 98% of shareholders have voted. It's of the people that voted, 98% voted in favor of it.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
I mean, how are you going to vote against being given $70 billion?
Right.
It's kind of hard to fight against. Now, is this still being kind of hung up by the FTC and everything like that? That hasn't gone through officially yet, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So
They still
still
need
could be
the
shut down at a federal
thumbs
level.
up from the
Right.
FTC.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I think it is going to happen, right? I don't see this getting shut down. They might have to do a couple like loopholes where they're like, oh yeah, we'll release one Call of Duty game a year on PlayStation or something like that.
It will be interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder once this goes through, like what it will mean for like 4 or 5 years from now for other larger acquisitions.
Mm-hmm. It really is too, like, and we'll get to it in a second, but this really is turning into the year of the acquisition. I think we've got some already on the notes here, and then I think there's a lot more that we might be hearing about later in the year. It's all just mitosis or osmosis. I don't know.
Both.
I'm not a science man.
Before we get to that one, though, one thing that came out in the news this past week, or was a Twitter thread, actually, the developer Yuji Naka, who's known for the early Sonic games, right? But also known for being involved in Balan Wonder World. I try to say that real carefully so I don't say Wonderland. Put out like a bunch of tweets explaining, that about all this drama that happened between them and Square Enix right before the release of the game. They were like fired, I think, and there's like a lawsuit. From Naka's perspective, it's sort of like he wanted to have, I guess a better game. I don't know. It's kind of the way,
or a good game at all.
That he was being critical of, I guess, some of the builds and that kind of stuff that were being sent over, and of some of the choices around music and stuff like that. And I guess based on what the reception of that game and everything, you can't blame him for maybe wanting it to be better. So yeah, I guess it's a shame that he didn't get to make the game he wanted to make, and they rushed it out or whatever. But if you're interested in that saga, there's a bunch of tweets you can go read and hear about. So.
Yeah, the tea flows in this fucking string of tweets, and it's one that he wrote because he wrote it all in Japanese, and then he did another set of it translated into English as well. He's like, I want everyone to know fuck Square Enix, basically. He's like, and in it, he's like, Square Enix does not care about gamers. He says that at one point. He publicly apologizes for the game. He gets pretty deep in it, and it's like he's definitely like burning a bridge. And this is not something you see Japanese artists really do very often. I've been hearing some stuff about how, in the early days when he was doing Sonic 2 and 3, he was kind of based here in the US, and that might have kind of like influenced a little bit of his attitude as of now that you don't really see in a lot of other Japanese developers and publishers and stuff like that. But it was pretty fascinating to read. I wonder how much work he'll be getting in the future.
I think that was part of the problem was that, when this game came out, and I think for the last 6 months of development didn't have any say in it. And then they released the game, it completely flopped. And for that last really like prime bit of polishing of the game, he was not involved, but his name is still very much attached to the game.
Yeah, they could have used
very
it.
much, very much based around, some of his worlds and his ideas. And and he just at this point, I think, doesn't want to be associated at all with it, since he didn't have that kind of control over the polishing, those like finishing touches that are so important.
Totally. I kind of have like a weird thing for when like directors and creators come out after their movie was really bad and they're like, I'm sorry. Like, I forget what movie it was I was reading about recently, but the director was like, yeah, that was like one of the worst failures of my entire life, and I pretty much regret all of it, and I'm trying to learn from it, and yeah, sorry. It's just like really nice to hear sometimes. I mean, it sounds like he got more fucked over. It's not like all his fault, but it's like, I don't know. It's just like refreshing for them to acknowledge when something's bad. I feel like the Sonic movie did that, right? They're like, yeah, oops, we fucked up. Give us a couple months. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I got to appreciate the honesty. It's great.
Yeah.
So in more Square Enix news, certain studios and properties, in particular the Western studios, and some of the, I don't know if what you would call them, the more Western, almost appealing IPs as well, like not the JRPGs that they're known for, but the other games. Some of them are going to be acquired by Embracer Group, which is THQ Nordic, maybe you might know them as, or Saber. But they're a giant parent company.
Yeah.
So yeah, this I don't know how we feel about all this. This is I don't know if this is as clear a bad thing or not. I mean, the thing that maybe is bad about it is what Square Enix says they're going to do with the money. That seems to hint at what they're going to do with the money. I mean,
crypto.
They said that the transaction enables the launch of new businesses by moving forward with investments in fields including blockchain.
Yeah, there it is.
And
chase that hype.
So they're going to use the money to make NFTs. Yeah. All
Dude,
right.
Embracer Group stole this basically. And when I say stole, they didn't literally go and take it, but they paid $300 million for basically the IDOS branch of Square Enix, right? Like what used to be IDOS, right? And like all that IP for $300 million is like kind of a steal, right? I mean,
I don't know. Once money gets above $1 million, and that's like when we're talking about this like 12 billion, like and we were like only 6 billion. I don't know what this means.
Look, I spent $300 million on pizza the other week. Right? I mean, come on.
Like it sounds like it when you hear about all these like, you know, purchases that are in the billions, but I'm curious, like, that's what it seems like people are saying. And that's maybe the good thing about this is arguably that some of these, you know, IP and games maybe will get treated well. I don't know, but I also don't know that I have like a whole lot of faith.
I'm trying to put the dollars, the millions of dollars, $300 million into perspective. And I'm looking at other acquisitions. And so Embracer, when they acquired Aspire, was $450 million.
Then it does seem
right. Yeah. And I mean, fucking what, Bungie went for like 4 billion or something like that. That's like how many times? I'm not a science man or a math man, clearly, but it's like it's a lot more than 300 million. And I think it's like that's really for one game, you know, with Destiny. And so and whatever they're working on next, right? But it's like this is like 3 distinct studios with all these legendary IP. You got the Tomb Raider IP in here. You've got Deus Ex. You've got Legacy of Kain, which is the most valuable of them all.
Okay, it's just
why is
what
that
else?
in
What
the
else
press
is in
release?
this?
What?
Legacy of Kain.
Yeah, I have been seeing that name fly around a lot. Yeah,
it just must be in the press release, and that's why everybody does it. But why? I don't know.
I think it's just so they can have like cred with gamers. You know what I mean? Like they want to be like, they're like, we're taking Tomb Raider and we're taking all these things that you like. And Legacy of Kain. We remember.
Ridiculous.
Maybe we'll make it. You want us to make it? Then blah blah blah.
It's when I see it.
Yeah. I will say though, dude. I mean, like fucking Square Enix is I don't think they're in a great state right now. I think a lot of people don't have a lot of faith in Square Enix at the moment, right? They've made a couple big blunders recently. I think they're disappointed with like Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers, right? Both of those games have not done nearly what they wanted them or needed them to do based on the budgets, right? They keep going into weird microtransaction-y, blockchain-y fucking talk that I think is alienating a lot of gamers, right? And so it's like, I think they just never really knew what to do with their Western studios anyway, right? So that's probably why they just got rid of it for, you know, probably the first offer they got.
I think that last thing you said about, I think they didn't know what to do with their Western studios, or maybe there was like, unlike, you know, maybe some companies that have like a strong arm, maybe they didn't have that and they felt like they weren't, I don't know, getting what they wanted out of them or something. I'm speculating here, but yeah.
If you want to get real speculating, Jeff Grubb talks a lot, right? So you can't always necessarily take everything he says at face value, but it's like, he was kind of speculating that this move, the shedding of the kind of extra fat, might lead to Square Enix trying to get bought by some nature, right? And then a lot of people have been talking about, and obviously this is super rumor territory, right? There's nothing really to back this up. No, we haven't really seen any acquisitions coming, any of the big ones that have been happening. They've all kind of been out of the blue. So I don't think there's a lot of like leaks about that, right? But I think now would be the time, I guess. I don't know, dude. I just think it's like we haven't seen the last of these this year. A lot more of these are going to be happening.
Just also before we move on from this, when Square Enix originally bought Eidos in 2009, it was $120 million. So they sold it for double what they paid for. So
yeah,
maybe
I guess so.
Made a smooth 150, smooth 170.
That's how they justified it.
Yeah.
And then they just bought like 3 Bored Apes with it.
In the Japanese publication Nikkei, apparently Nintendo is expecting to sell around 20 million Switch units in its current fiscal year, which is a little bit of a decrease from their previous estimates, and sales due to just chip shortages and manufacturing issues and that sort of thing, which we're hearing about in all kinds of industries, but especially in electronics.
That's about like a 10% drop from their projected sales last year. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but yeah.
I think what I was trying to say is that at least allegedly, like, there's strong demand for Switches, and if they could, they would make more and sell more. It's what at least Nintendo is saying, but this is the current situation we're in, and so we'll see what happens.
I think they're going to be just fine selling 20 million Switches this year.
In its 5th year here.
Yeah. You guys think it's going to pass the PS2 ever?
No.
You don't think so?
Well, what is that? 160 or something? Like,
it's a lot. Yeah, I think it's about that. Yeah. I bet they could get there, man. I bet they're going to do it. I bet they're going to just like call the next thing like the Switch again. And then just like
Switch again.
Counts towards it.
Well, yeah, it's like 3DS or the DS and the DS Lite.
Yeah, and the new 3DS.
Do you lump those sales together? Or?
Yeah.
That's true, and because I think one of the reasons the Switch has sold so well is, despite it being the best home console thing, it's because, you want to get one for everybody in the house or whatever, or once you kind of get hooked, or your one kid gets hooked and then they're not sharing well or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and
you got to have one for both hands so you can play Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics against yourself.
You have to have one as a handheld and then one that you leave plugged into the TV. That way you don't actually have to switch it.
Yeah, so you can play games during the load times for the other game. Right?
Y'all joke, but I think I've done that once.
Of course. Yeah.
I think when I was like in Smash Arenas on the dock, I've played in handheld in another game waiting in like a long line. Anyway,
we're cool, okay? We're really cool.
Very cool, everyone. Very cool.
Moving on. I don't think we'll talk about this every month. Maybe I don't know if we will. Maybe we will. But then Nintendo's adding more of the missions and rewards for you to spend your platinum points on the Switch to get those, icons. So if you have a bunch of platinum points you need to burn.
It's Mario Kart ones now, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think it's Kirby and Mario Kart are the new ones. And of course, every month brings more Animal Crossing characters.
Which I'm stoked about. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
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 Some of these Mario Kart ones look cool. I don't know.
I can't not be my me, dude. I have to have it be my me.
Yeah, this has made me stop being my me. And if they keep putting out new ones, I think it's kind of fun to shift it around. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't like change.
I'll never change. It'll always be upside down face for my me.
Yeah, you're upside down face.
Yeah.
Me.
Patrick hates it.
I do hate it.
I hate it too.
It brings me so much joy.
It saves. So say this is something to talk about in Switch sports, but it's like any game where you play with Mii's, it really does throw you off when somebody comes at you with a Mii that's like weird looking.
Just really off-putting and upsetting. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the meta.
Anytime, like, it is. It's smart. Like anytime I'm playing Smash and somebody's a Mii fighter and they're ugly, and it's like, what is this?
They're like, whoa!
You're not cute? How dare you?
You don't look like you have a baby face on a grown man's body? Sorry. That's what the sports mates look like to me. We can move on.
Thanks for humoring me.
We got a lot of things.
Yeah, we got stuff.
But last couple things on the news. I don't know how much we want to actually get into this, but there's been leaks for the Super Mario Brothers movie. At least alleged leaks. We don't know, right? And I think some of this comes from Jeff Grubb, who you just mentioned, right?
Talks a lot.
So it talks a lot. We don't know. I don't know. There's actually, if you want to like go find articles that break down all the points that he made, it's quite a lot of details.
He basically just said the whole plot from stuff that he heard from somebody who was allegedly like a test audience member, right?
So I don't know. Do y'all want to talk about any of this? There's one sort of big one that's kind of going around. We could maybe mention, but we also don't have to.
Yeah, maybe let's just say if you want to go in completely blind, well, we'll give it about a minute, right? Well, yeah, but it's like, but also this could be totally false because there were like multiple people in the comments of the Reddit thread I was reading about it, and they were like, I'm working on the movie and none of this is accurate. So who really knows? But yeah, maybe official spoiler warning right now. Apparently it's a musical or it's got music numbers in it. What do you guys think about that? I think that's cool. I think that's a good idea.
It'd be cool.
I mean, right. There you go. Like alone in and of itself, does that make it a good movie? No. But
yeah, I don't think it's for and also it doesn't mean it's like an opera. It's not like every word is sung. It's like occasionally there are musical numbers.
Everything Mario says is sung.
Give me Super Mario Brothers rock opera. I'm in.
Like Les Miserables.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, I mean that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what the angle is, like if it's a musical, like musicals are great if you're trying to hear like a strong perspective of a character or they're trying to learn something new or they're a fish out of water. Like what is Mario going to sing about?
What's his I Want song?
Yeah, exactly. Or I need or I'm missing
Mario's
or I'm
lament.
sad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just Dire Ducks. That's it.
I mean, if it's anything like, the Lego movies, it's like they had like songs here and there, right? And I feel like Lego Movie 2 is even more of a musical than Lego Movie 1. I like both of those movies quite a bit. I think it's like there's ways you can do them that it's like fun, you know what I mean? And I think like...
And doesn't feel exactly like a musical. Like I wouldn't...
Right. It's more like almost like, yeah, it's kind of grows out of whatever it calls for it, right? I don't know. I think it'd be fun. At this point, like straight up, like I'm ready for anything on this movie. Like I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'm gonna go in with like zero expectations, completely open mind. If it's like the Les Mis of Mario, I'm happy with that. Yeah. Anyway,
we should move on since we gave a couple minute warning. I don't want to keep pontificating about it because I do have other like questions. But anyway, we'll move on. And to sort of segue us into our main topic, Nintendo Switch Sports is out. Came out this past week. Got okay reviews, right? And some of that was possibly due to the fact that the online wasn't there for the reviewers for some reason. But I don't know if that really makes up for it.
The online is there now, and I get it. I get the review scores. I don't know that I necessarily 100% agree, but I definitely understand where a lot of them are coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's getting sort of middling reviews. I mean, I think on Metacritic, to the extent we care about this, the critical review is 74.
So. Original Wii Sports did about the same. It's that and Wii Sports Club and all that kind of stuff. Like it's never been like
breakthrough games that
exactly. Yeah. Games press. It's not made for the games press, really.
Yeah. Right.
It's made for grandmas and grandpas.
and kids and families and people who don't maybe
play a blue ocean of people.
Right. There you go.
If you will.
Fake gamers. No, just kidding.
Give us Legacy of Kain.
Soul Reaver.
Soul Reaver Sports.
So dumb.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's just nice to see. I mean, we'll obviously talk more about it, but it's nice to see that, you know, I don't know. I think the numbers so far are looking pretty good, and despite the reviews and everything like that, I think this is a game that, like, it doesn't matter how this game reviews. You know what you're getting when you get into it, and you know exactly what kind of game it's trying to be, and that's all that really matters.
All right. Well, we're going to talk a ton more about Nintendo Switch Sports and our thoughts on it after this break. All right. We are back, and Nintendo Switch Sports just launched for the Nintendo Switch. The newest version of the famous Wii Sports came out April 29th, and so we've been able to play it for now a few days, and we're going to go into detail about how much we're enjoying it, or criticisms of it, or both, and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, the original Wii Sports came out with the Wii, what was that, 2006-ish?
2006
and
launch game, back-end game.
So, you know, this is not quite 20 years later, but, you know, about 15, whatever, roughly years later, we've got this fourth iteration of this franchise. And, yeah, any thoughts, just big picture thoughts anybody want to share? Are we enjoying it? We like it? We have qualms?
Yeah, I mean, just the brief, like, because there was the first Wii Sports, and I feel like that's the one that most people know, right? And then there was, like, the far superior Wii Sports Resort that was actually sold as a real game. And that one was very thematic and felt like all themed around this kind of, like, tropical resort kind of thing, and had, like, a ton more games to justify the purchase price, right? And that one was kind of, like, probably still, I think, the best game out of all of them. There's Wii Sports Club on the Wii U, which was a confusing mess of different ways you could purchase the game. But it's basically a remake of Wii Sports 1, but in HD, right? And now we have this, which is kind of like, it feels like it's kind of trying to be Wii Sports Resort, because it's all kind of themed around this, like, strange shopping center, I guess. Yeah, it's like
Spoko?
I tried to Google why it was called Spoko Square, and I actually don't know if I didn't look hard enough, but I couldn't really find anything.
Yeah, I think it's
just
like
a made up name, maybe.
It's like Woohoo Island. It's like that was just kind of something they just came up with, right? Like, I don't think it's. I think it's intentionally meant to just be its own thing. That's not a reference to anything.
Yeah,
but it's a weird word, Spoko Square. Again, doesn't really roll off the tongue.
It sounds like it's like a math theorem. Spoko is square, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yes, like the triangle.
Yeah.
No.
Pythagoras.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's like Pythagorean theorem, but for squares.
Maybe Spoko is like a sound you make when you're playing sports.
That's the sound.
badminton.
Yeah,
Spoko.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been having a lot of fun with this, though, like
Mhm.
that said. And, you know, in particular, I think it's like introducing this series to a new generation of people. Like, we'll see if it sticks, right? But this weekend, on both Saturday and Sunday morning, my son came in to my room while I was still asleep. He's like, I'm going to play Switch Sports. And I'm like, okay. And then, like,
so he's hooked.
He's hooked. And 20 minutes
That's
later,
great.
he's like, I won in bowling online. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Well,
How old is he?
I think it was the bots. That was the first time he did it.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
gotcha.
Which is something we should talk about, maybe.
For sure. Yeah.
But he's actually decent at some of this stuff. But he's been having a lot of fun with it. I've been having fun playing with him, and so I don't know. It's cool to see, you know, new people get introduced to it and that kind of thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way about it, because the Wii is actually one system that I had never owned. So I was always the friend when I'd go to my friend's house and be like, "You have Wii Sports? Let's play." But they own it, so they were like over it, you know? So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, like I don't really, but I was always like, yes, I wanna play it, because it wasn't something I had at home, and now I have it, and now I kind of get it. My husband and I, the first night we had it, played through all 6 games, best 2 out of 3 for the matches, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's
For sure. I think that kind of like speaks to the different kind of way that they're trying to push this game, right? I think that they understand, you know, I mean, I think ultimately the appeal of a game like this and kind of the best way to play it is with like other people in the room, right? But even with that, they're really pushing the online in this game, right? And it's like when you turn this game on, the first thing on the menu is like play against randos. You know what I mean? And like the only way you can unlock stuff is by playing against randos.
That's what I was like
unlocking.
Yeah.
And you know, and that I wish it kind of you know, we can get to that in a bit, but it's like, you know, it's clear that they're really pushing that. But what I do like about this is that they do make it pretty easy, at least when you're playing against random people, to kind of have someone else with you also go online. And so it's kind of like in that way, I think it's working really well as kind of a best of both worlds sort of thing. It's like, you know, if you've got all the Joy-Cons and you've got a party of 4, you know, you guys can still jam out some fucking tennis like the old days, right? But it also has this kind of cooperative element to it now where you're kind of playing on the same team, which I think is working really well. I'm sure you and Magnus have been doing that, right, Patrick.
I mean, you know me, I really love playing competitive online games against random people, and like it's so much, and I like to do it. One of my favorite things in Smash is to have a friend on the couch and we play, you know, the mode where you can play 2v2. But yeah, it's been so much fun, and I think I'm like teaching this to my son, like, because, you know, I'm like, let's kick their butts.
He's got the bloodlust now. Yeah,
you know, and it's a lot of fun, and to play with somebody, but also, you know, online against strangers. I think that's great.
How have you been primarily playing, Matt?
Just single player online.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I played offline because I felt like I wanted to take the tutorial to learn how to play some of these games.
Yeah.
Because I was
you want to like learn it, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like I wanted to learn the controls for soccer before I start playing it.
You don't want to be embarrassed by some kid named like little kid 69 or whatever.
I hate being embarrassed online.
Little kid 69.
That's why I'm afraid of the online. But that's also what's funny too, is that not all the games had tutorials. Like I don't think tennis or badminton actually had a tutorial. Which it wasn't until after we completed the match, and it gives you like a little tip. It's like, if you smack it at the peak of the birdie in badminton, that's how you get those shots. But there was no pre-game, you know, hints or tutorials. It was basically right into the game, whereas volleyball had a full tutorial that you like you didn't have to play through it, but I just felt like if I didn't, I wouldn't know what I'm doing. And then once we got into the gameplay, it actually felt like the timing on the tutorial was different from the in game. Like I was really early in game, but my tutorial was fine. So I don't know if
it's also the different moves you do in volleyball. We're kind of jumping around, but the different moves you do in volleyball all have different timings to them as well, right? It's like setting the ball versus spiking the ball. It's like bumping and setting have like vastly different timings. And like one, I'm like, oh wait, I'm trying to do the other one. I really like volleyball though. I think volleyball is actually really fun and really challenging.
Well, this is a great opportunity for us to just talk about the sports. So the game has 6 sports at launch, allegedly, or definitely one more coming, and then who knows, maybe more. But for now, you can play volleyball, badminton, bowling, soccer, shambara, and tennis. And so like what is everybody's favorites or least favorites, or are there any that you just don't want to play, or are you okay with all of them? I'd be curious to hear what everybody's, at least maybe Matthew, maybe we could do your thing. Everybody said their favorite sport on 3.
1, 2, 3. Soccer.
Tennis.
Toy tennis.
Lynn, you said Chambara?
I said Chambara.
It
was different, and I think it was challenging, and there were ways to win besides, you know, you can hit and you can block, but you can also hit through people's blocks if you're blocking the right way. And I think the Joy-Con sensitivity is one of my favorite things about the Switch sports in general, is it feels very, very accurate.
What sword are you using in Chambara?
Not the charge sword. Just the regular. Yeah.
I like the charge.
I like them both. Yeah. It's nice to not have to worry about the charge and just focus entirely on blocking. You know what I mean? Because I find myself like trying to get too big brain and then totally fucking up, and then they just like wail on me and I die.
I do find exactly the same.
If you have it supercharged, you can get a really strong hit in.
Well, that's one of the things that you were talking about, Lynn, the little tips at the end. Like that game, Chambara has a ton of those, right? It's got like, you learn about the jab through the little thing at the end. You can actually jab forward with it. And then there's a charge jab as well. And then like,
this is news to me.
Yeah, if you spin both, if you're dual wielding and you do them both in the same direction, you do a spin. Yeah, it's great. It's essentially Skyward Sword. Like straight up. It's like, going
the right
not
angles,
going perpendilar. Yeah, like going where there's an opening, right?
Also, I love when have anybody had this experience where you get to the fourth round?
Yeah.
That always feels fun when if you get however many draws, or if it after the best of 2 or 3 ends in a draw because you had a draw or whatever, like the outer ring falls down for the fourth one, and it's just like a small space, so it's kind of like 1 or 2 strikes depending on what sword you're using is all it takes.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I like
it's hype
when that happens.
Yeah. And I love when they get hit off and they're like,
The replays are great.
Yeah, those are fun.
The replays. That's one of the things I wanted to add to this and talk about.
Yeah. I love that. There's lots of little stuff that it works really well for the online. Replays are super fun and it's very recordable, like holding the capture button on your Switch or whatever and saving those. And I love the little emotes you can use. I love to spam crying, especially when I'm doing well. Especially in Chambara, like when I knock them off, whenever I spam crying, it's like I'm trying to say like this hurts me more than it hurts you.
Oh, that's when I like to wink.
Chambara's tight. I'm a big fan of soccer. I've been playing a lot of soccer today. And
I wasn't
really
sure about
enjoying
it at first. Yeah. Like
Rocket League on feet.
Yeah, I think it also just like it. I think it's one of those ones that might do best in person or with people I've just had a lot of experience. It's just kind of like it's like kids soccer where like lunch ball happens, and this is one of those quality of life issues about Nintendo Online where you can't communicate with your teammates and be like, I'll be the goalie, you go play upfield. And then instead it's just 4 people on your team are all in the same place.
Yeah, they're all going for the ball.
And kicking it instead of like dribbling. I think some of that meta is still being figured out too, right? Like, because the first time I played it too, I was like, every time I get near the ball, kick it. And now it's like, oh, you need to like take your time and dribble if you can.
Or pass, right?
Or pass.
Pass with the ZR. I think that it's like, I think this is kind of something about this that they added that was originally in Wii Sports Club on the Wii U is basically ranking up, right? And so when you're playing online, I've only actually unlocked this in Chambara so far, and I'm at like rank E or whatever on Chambara. But it's like, as soon as you do that, it's like, okay, now I'm playing against people that actually like understand the mechanics. That's all that really means. And they actually know like all the things. So it's like, in Chambara, it's like I was kicking ass. I was feeling great. And then I did my first rank match and I was like, oh, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. I can't just like wail on him or you know what I mean? Or just do simple blocks, And so I think once you get to the ranked on soccer, I feel like it'll become a way more fun game to play online. Because right now it's just, you're right. It's like I'm back here at the goal, like trying to be the one guy defending. And then I just see 3 of my guys all bunched around the ball in the corner. It's like, we're never going to score that way, guys. It doesn't make sense. Everybody just wants to touch the ball. And it's like, dude, just be strategic.
I love after you score a goal in soccer, the little emotes, the arms out to the side, you're flying, the slide, the jumping.
How do you do that? Is that a button press or does it just happen automatically?
It must be a button press. I haven't done that.
I don't know.
Arms just happen.
Actually. Yeah.
I know the arms just happen.
Okay. It's like whenever you score, I guess.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I just love when I'm playing online and the team scores a goal that everyone circles around the person that scores the goal and starts like jumping.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, that's nice.
Do any of you guys have the leg strap?
Oh, I haven't tried it yet. I meant to try it before the podcast.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you tuned into this podcast hoping for some leg strap takes, we're disappointed.
Man, that's a bummer. I meant to do it too because I have one. I just didn't get around to it.
Well, I've heard it's just totally pointless and it's just a timing thing. You know what I mean?
You could just swing it.
Yeah, because it's not usable in soccer yet. It's just in like a kickoff mode offline. You know what I mean? So.
It's gonna be though. Is that?
Yeah, they're adding an update where you can use your leg to actually kick, which seems like that's how you break a bunch of TVs.
Or tables. Whatever you want to break, man.
Yeah.
Whatever's around.
Yeah.
That's actually, I was going to bring that up too about the wrist straps. And, they're very adamant in the beginning about the wrist straps. And we just had some renovations done. So a lot of my stuff is packed up in boxes and I don't know where my wrist straps are.
Mm-hmm.
So we started playing and I was like, I'm an adult. I'll be fine. The first thing I did in volleyball is I went up and I threw my Joy-Con up in the air. Thankfully, it landed on the couch, but I kept a tally. I threw my Joy-Con a total of 3 times.
Wow.
Throughout the night. And I just...
Were you eating crab legs right before you?
Butterfingers.
It's just Joy-Con drift. It's just drifting.
While we're on this subject, I've thrown it once, but I've watched my son throw it a few times. And also, he is all over the place. I'm like, dude, stand still. You know what I mean? He has hit his hand on the table. He has like hit me, you know what I mean? Like, because he's like, we'll be playing tennis and he'll just like, it's not, it's like between a serve or whatever. And he'll walk over to me and I'm like, dude, stay over there. Like,
didn't you see the 2 figures with the circles around them?
And Nintendo has like put out tweets, I think in Japan maybe, but maybe even everywhere about like, well, don't let your kids play unsupervised. And I kind of get it because like he's hurt himself. And that was when I was in the room and he is coming in and being like, I'm gonna play right now. It's 6:30 in the morning, so I'm like, fine.
So
strap.
I think it's funny that they've kind of like done something that absolves them of anything, which is funny in this, where it's like there's like a screen that it's like, make sure you put on the Joy-Con strap, and then there's no just button that says, okay, you have to say attached. So like
you agreed.
So it forces you to lie. It's like I don't have it. Yeah, exactly. I like don't have it attached, and it like forces me to lie. So it's like if I break my TV and I'm like, what the fuck? They'd be like, well, you said attached in game. Like you press the button.
I got really lucky, I think. The one time my husband thought I did it as a joke, and I went like this and I threw it across towards our fireplace. And he was like, are you kidding? And I was like, it was honestly an accident. And I was like, I would never throw my Joy-Con, which is
expensive.
It's like a $70 fucking little piece of plastic.
That's what I was gonna say, and I just didn't know. I'm just irresponsible. It's very irresponsible.
We don't think any less of you. Yeah.
Compared to like the Wiimotes and stuff, though, it is a little bit annoying because those. Part of the reason those straps and those little sliders is like they're not. You don't. You're gonna attach this back to your Switch in a little bit to play handheld, right? And like. And the idea of having to do that and get those on and get them out, it's like it's a lot of time and effort, and it's just not likely to happen, right? Like
I'll say a lot of games have me like flicking my wrist more violently. Maybe I'm just older and I have arthritis now, but I'm like flicking I feel like this because it's like rests inside your palm and it's just in there. When you had, especially in Wii Sports Resort, where you had the Wii Motion Plus attachment at the bottom, it was a real big long chunky thing, like that. It had more weight and girth to it, and so it just kind of like felt more natural. And now it's like this dinky little thing in your hand, so I'm just like going, like at the end of the day, I'm like, fuck, I need to wear a wrist guard or something while I play this game.
I think it's my shoulder because my inclination is to do bigger movements than I need to, and I've kind of reined that in. But at first, especially like playing tennis, I'm just like,
look, if you're trying to min max movements in Wii Sports, you're playing it wrong. Okay, you gotta go whole hog.
Next week's episode will all be about sports medicine and how to recover
game injuries.
What to do when you herniate a disc.
Well, we kind of all over the place, which is great, but we started with some of the sports, and I think we covered what everybody says their favorites, except for maybe tennis. So maybe we can talk about tennis and then the other sports we haven't really gone into detail with.
Yeah, I mean, tennis is a little unremarkable, right? I mean, it's like I always love tennis the most, and it's probably my least played sport in this game right now, right? I think part of that is because badminton is so freaking fun. You know what I mean? It's like I think so. I think
thwack. Thwack is so satisfying.
I mean, there's a great thwack in tennis too, or whatever it's like a real nice pop whenever you hit the ball. But it's like, but for me, it's like badminton is like super immediate and to me feels like the most 1-to-1 game. You know what I mean? It's like I was describing it, and I said this on the Geek First podcast too. But it's like it reminds me of like when you play Rock Band drums on Expert, it's like you're pretty much just playing drums at that point. You know, it's like if you're playing this, if you just do the exact motions you do in badminton, it feels very natural. It feels very like 1-to-1. Where tennis, you know, it doesn't exactly feel exactly like tennis, right?
I think badminton's my least played, so this might just be from a place of ignorance, but I've felt like in tennis, I can control where I'm hitting better. And like there are more like, I just felt like when I've played badminton, it's been like I hit it every time and like there's no outs. And it just felt like I was just doing long rallies, whereas tennis felt more interesting to me because it had more variation.
I think the main difference between tennis and badminton, as far as I understand, is badminton controls like at what point you hit the shuttlecock coming towards you, controls the speed at which you return it. Where if you want to make it go left or right, you have to go like this or this. You know what I mean? Like you have to swing to the left or right in badminton. Where in tennis, it goes like left or right depending on what time you hit the tennis ball coming at you. So it's like there's more like actual directional control in badminton than there is. I mean, you have forehand and backhand in tennis, right? But it's like so much more timing based on direction. I don't know if that makes sense. A lot of these things are kind of hard to say. It's like a game feel thing. Yeah,
it is a feel. I guess that's why maybe I need to go back to badminton because I kind of wrote it off as feeling like not as fun as tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what's funny is I had the exact opposite experience where I had such trouble with the timing in tennis and also having your second character that's also you. It's not like, and I hate to jump around, but volleyball, you have, if you're playing one-on-one with something, you have a computer as your teammate who will be doing what you're not doing. But in tennis, they're both you, and either one of them will sort of, I guess, activate depending on where the ball is and when you're hitting it. So there were times where I'd go for that fast volley with my player that's up front, but if that player misses it, your rear player is disengaged, so you can't recover that, and then my timing is all over the place, and I felt like I had very little control. Where in badminton, you have, it's the timing again, but it feels like tighter. It feels more concise.
Yeah, it's simplified a little bit. Yeah. Although I do wish they did have doubles badminton because that is a thing.
Yeah, I think
and it's just not in this game.
I've been playing mostly doubles with somebody, and that makes tennis more enjoyable.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, that I think is the great thing about, if we're just jumping around, that I think is the great thing about volleyball, right? I do love that when you play online and you're by yourself in volleyball, you're teamed up with another random person, right? And all of it, like volleyball, just all the new sports in here, like maybe not so much badminton, but like soccer and volleyball feel like they had a lot of thought put into them, and they're like a lot more inherently complicated, right? Like in volleyball, you can actually move left and right with the stick, right? And like position yourself, right? And then there's the 3 different poses you do. You know, if you want to block, you have to jump up a good amount ahead of time in order to do it. But then also the hang time that you have while you're doing a spike allows you to like fake them out. So you wait for them to do the block and then you slam it. You know what I mean? So there's all this like risk reward stuff there. You know, soccer, obviously you're like moving all around and you're moving the camera with the right stick and stuff, like all this stuff that you would never do in any other Wii Sports game. And so it's like, I think those games are actually like have quite a bit of depth in them, and I'm like getting to learn them and love them. And I think that's making me just kind of like abandon the simpler stuff like tennis. You know what I mean? That's been my experience anyway.
What about bowling then? We haven't talked about bowling. How do we feel about the new bowling?
I did like the simultaneous gameplay. Where you don't have to wait for everyone else to take turns. You can all just go at once. I thought that was kind of cool, but and it made the games go fast. So we got quite a few games in.
It's still like the longest game too, you know, so it's good they did something to mitigate the like disproportionate length of bowling.
I was surprised how familiar bowling plays. Like when comparing to like Wii Sports. It feels great. I'm excited. Like all the special modes in bowling are really fun. How they add different ramps and different
I really
obstacles.
Like that, yeah.
Those are really fun, and it makes me excited about what DLC could look like for sports, but specifically bowling.
Yeah, we tried the easy mode first for the obstacles in bowling, and we went straight to the expert advanced, whatever the most difficult one was, because we're like, okay, if this is what the easy is, we just want to go all in, and just it was really challenging, but a lot of fun. That made bowling a lot of fun.
I wish that you could do special bowling online. It seems like it's just vanilla. Yeah. But the online for bowling is cool, right? They do like
the
it's like a battle royale, right? It's like 16 players, and then the first 8 get eliminated after the first 3 brackets. What do you call
Frames.
bowling turns?
Yeah.
Frames. Thank you. I know sports. And so that's great, and it's good for a couple reasons. It's good because it's just kind of like fun to watch 16 people all bowl at the same time. But then also it's like if you lose, you then don't have to just like sit, or it's like if you're behind.
Poorly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, well, you're never gonna win anyway, so just get out of here, kid. And so I think it speeds it up a little bit, and it makes it to where it's not as punishing to do like a whole 10 frame thing of bowling.
Yeah, I definitely had a really great bowling one where I kind of like came back from almost being eliminated and then won and beat the person who was in first place the whole time by 1 pin.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
So there's something fun about that tournament.
Oh yeah. It's a constant reminder to me when I play bowling about how fucked bowling scoring is. Just like it's so confusing, and you have to be like a statistician to understand like what gets added to what and multiplied and all that kind of shit. It's just like I'm just gonna let the game.
Well, just to break it down for you, David, if it's a spare, it's the next bowl, right? So like if it's however many pins you get next, and if it's a strike, it's the next 2, and it's really that simple.
You lost me.
Can you start that?
But it does get confusing when you have like a strike and then a spare and that kind of a thing.
I only know bowling works is throw ball down alley fast.
Yeah, hit as many pin as possible, please. Yeah.
That works too.
Yeah, I mean you could just do that, right? But it's like, but if you're looking at like the scores and you're trying to like keep track of
how do you get to a 300, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like they'll be like 20 points behind you and you're like, hell yeah. And then they like bowl once and then all of a sudden they're like ahead of you. Yeah. And you're like, fuck.
Well, that is what it's hard to like track about like that tournament mode is because it could look like you're tied with somebody, but you just had like an open frame where you didn't get a strike or a spare and they got a strike. And so they're really ahead of you. Like, even though it doesn't look like it. Yeah.
Just crushing your dreams really quickly. Yeah. Are you guys having any problems with spins? Did you know what I was going to say?
There are some problems that I have with the bowling but yeah,
let's just open it up. Are we any of us having any problems just in general?
Yes.
Okay. I think this is a safe space for us to work that out. No. No, but like I used to like on Wii bowling, spinning felt very natural to me, but I feel like you really have to like really go like this to get the spin right?
Yes, it's a lot more wrist and a lot less arm because my husband and I were having that same issue where he was kind of going full arm and kind of swinging his whole arm around like you would do in bowling when I was kind of going more straight and then at the very end, just flicking my wrist a little bit.
Gotcha.
And that seemed to work a lot better for me because that was my first test was I know in Wii bowling, you could kind of, once you figured out your positioning and that exact movement, you could pretty much bowl strikes the whole time. So that was my first test. I'm like, okay, once I bowl a strike, can I repeat that process? And since the Joy-Cons are so sensitive, it's hard.
Yeah. I haven't gotten used to that yet. I do keep trying to do the big arc, but it's like, a little flick.
Then you're going to do too much of a curve. For sure. It's very easy to throw too much of a spin. I feel like,
Yeah. Which I feel like the ideal is like bowl down the right and spin to the left. Right. And I keep trying to do that. And anytime I try to do a proper spin, it like goes the other way. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? I can't figure it out. Anyway, that was, I just wanted to vent about that. I'm having some issues.
I have issues with ball speed too, where I feel like cause you don't let go of the trigger. You hold it the whole time. So there's no like real release. And then just like, again, it's a timing thing for me where there was no bowling tutorial. So I don't know what the timing's supposed to be.
I did look up a YouTube video on just like good movement stuff. I feel like it's a lot of like pushing forward motion, right? Will give you good ball speed as you're going. There's a couple little things that it's almost like, I feel like on the Wii they had that a lot where it would just like cut to like a video of some fucking guy doing it or like a silhouette or something, you know what I mean? Like I feel like stuff like that would have actually been kind of helpful here because it is a little different from what we're used to from the old games, right?
There's a lot of things we should talk about and we don't want to go too long on this, but out of curiosity, is everybody playing with their Miis, or are you playing with the new? What are they called? Don't they have a name? The Switch
Sportsmates.
Sportsmates.
That's a great name. What are we
It's
going?
like
with?
MetaMates, Facebook employees. Yeah.
I'm going all Sportsmates. I think they're super cute.
You
Yeah,
kind of
that's
look
cute.
like a sportsmate in real life. Man.
You've got the red cheeks,
Is
and
that-
the
is-
eyeliner. And
I'll take it. Yeah.
You have a squirrel's body? No, just kidding.
Okay. Yeah, I got pink or blue hair. Depends.
Yeah, they do feel like really tall Animal Crossing characters to me. I feel like
Yeah,
if you took
kinda.
an Animal Crossing character and just kind of stretched them out, you get.
I
a
wish they had
Sportsmate.
like slightly different shaped heads or faces. I feel like all their faces and heads are just the exact same shape, and it's kind of. I like them. I think they're good. I like how expressive they are.
Mhm.
But I hate like how right now the only beard you can give them is like a little.
It's
dinky
called
little
fake
chin
beard.
strap. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's literally called fake beard because my husband has a beard too, and that was the first thing. We're like, okay, great. He wanted to throw a beard on, and it's black, and you have no other options, and it's just a
Yeah.
little chin
There's-
strap, and it's called fake beard.
There's one
Yeah.
you can unlock in the
Eventually.
current
Yeah.
things, which I have unlocked, but it's not like it looks that much better.
No, it's
And
like I think
they
it's-
look like children,
yeah.
and so it looks weird to put a beard on them, and I think that's why they called it that.
Yeah.
That said, there are a lot of options to have wrinkles and stuff to make them look a little older, but I don't know. I don't see a lot of people using those.
Yeah.
Understandably, I think.
I think they're cool, and I think the problem is right now they have this unlock system that you can only do by playing online against randos, right? And it's like, and it's this kind of gachapon system, right? So it's you get to 100 points, which doesn't take. It's like 3 games of something, basically, right? And
My
then
kid has everything unlocked, by the way.
yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm
Oh, wow.
about to unlock the first one, yeah, and so it'll like kind of cycle through whatever you get, and so I think in like 3 months there's going to be a lot more variety, and there's going to be a lot of cool stuff you can do, and you're going to get there's obviously full body things that are going to be we've seen the squirrel from the early photos, and I think there's going to be a lot of like different unlock stuff that you can get over time, but it's like just right
light
now everybody looks the
first.
exact same.
Yeah, there's only like 5 haircuts.
There's 6. Yeah.
Yeah,
And none of them are bald. That was one of my complaints. You can't choose to not have hair.
It feels limiting. Like there's it just because there's only 6, and they're very stylized and specific, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, I don't have shaved sides or whatever, like and long hair on top or whatever.
2 of the male identifying hair dudes. I guess there's no genders in this game, right?
There's 2
But
genders.
it's like-
There's eyelashes and no eyelashes.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But two of like the male haircuts like just look like Proud Boys haircuts to me. You know what I mean? They're just like kind of
Shaved
like Web
sides,
2.0.
and slick, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking forward to more of that stuff. But at the end of the day, dude, I'm playing as my me, and so it's like it kind of sucks because you get so many of the accessories you get are for your head and your face, and none of those you can use with the me, right? So it's really just what outfit you have.
And it's
But I
kind
mean,
of
I guess you can go
full
into the me maker
outfits.
and give them glasses or whatever, right? If you want to, but you can't give them a hat or something,
Yeah, and it's kind of full. It's like full outfits rather than like shirt, tie, like belt, like stuff that could maybe make them look different too. Like the same things, but whatever.
I will say all the unlockable outfits do have like a decent amount of drip. I think I like the like the skirt sweater like backpack combo.
Super
I
cute.
think it looks very cute. I think even the kind of stylish like a male sweatshirt kind of thing with like it's got a messenger bag. I think that looks pretty cool. The cute stuff is looking great.
I think the female identifying sport mates are a lot cuter. Like
their
everybody in my
outfits.
house is a woman
Yeah.
in this game because like, and we're all rocking the dress, right? Like, cause that's an awesome dress. Like once you unlock it, what else you can use?
The overalls look cool. Anyway, I just think I'm excited to see what it looks like later on. It just means like you're going to really have to play like every weekend if you want to get all the outfits. You know what I mean? Because new stuff gets added every week, and if you miss a week, I mean, they're really trying to get you to, trying to get you to.
It
keep
works
playing.
too because
Yeah,
it worked on my kid. He was like, "Will you play some rounds of Shambara as me to unlock so I can unlock the last thing?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay." because I was, like,
Chambara
winning.
is if you need to grind anything to get.
It's a good one
outfits,
because
it's the
especially if you
shortest
can
one.
win,
Yeah.
and especially if you're playing people who aren't good, let them win and then get to the draw situation if you can, because then you get a ton of points for a draw.
Oh, really? That's
yeah,
funny.
for like going to the 4th round.
Yeah.
That's how you min max.
Or
Switch
win at
sports.
bowling. That
Yeah.
gets you a lot of points too if you win
Yeah.
the bowling tournament. Yeah, what else should we talk about?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot to still talk about, right? I mean, let's like we've been talking about how fun this game is and a lot of stuff, but let's talk about like kind of some of the stuff that I think that this game is lacking a little bit, right? Obviously, I mean, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that this is a Nintendo game, so the online is wonky as fuck.
Yes,
I mean, like
that's
it's
a lot
pretty
of my
smooth.
complaints are online.
It's pretty smooth on your end, and I've had like a drop, I think, or two maybe, but it's like it's got that problem where it's like, okay, you want to play 2 people, you want to play with a friend against randoms, okay, better have them over at your house. You want to connect with somebody in a different state and play against randoms, can't do that. There's all these weird restrictions for what you can do. There's like the versions of the games that you play against randoms and then the versions that you play locally,
Yep.
and those are the ones you play online in rooms, and no way to really change that. There's not a lot of options to tweak
Can't
games.
rematch, which is my biggest thing. Like I'm sitting over here and my kid and I are we want to play tennis, and we want to play tennis for the next half hour, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we get to a good opponent, we want to rematch them, right? And what's wrong with asking, I know this is a more casual game, but like if we all agree to rematch, like let's allow that. Or even just be like, I want to play tennis again. Like, don't back me up to the main menu and then and bring me,
There is, I'm trying to look up on my Switch right now. Let me see, users you played with. So it looks like, because in other
rematch, I'd have to do that, right? Like I'd have to like go in.
Well,
there,
I'm trying to even see.
them.
Okay, yeah. So it does look like so it does have a thing in your Switch where it's like if you see somebody you play against, you have like a really hype match, you can go to add friend on the system
And
setting of
hope-
your Switch and like
then
add that person. And then like
invite them now that we
no,
have
but even then
invites,
there's
I
no
guess you
online
could-
invite system in this.
Is there not? For
No.
sports?
Which is like
They've
if there's
added
gonna
it.
be any game, like this is the one to put the online invite system in. That's
Now, what you gotta do? You gotta log into My Nintendo, and then you need to send them. You gotta
Submit your-
redeem.
Go to
points.
Japan.
Yeah.
Go to Japan, knock on Shigeru Miyamoto's door,
Yeah.
and be like, Miyamoto Sensei, why?
I would like to be. I would like to play tennis with Lynn. Is that okay? Yes, that's okay. Fly back to the U.S. Send a Switch friend request.
Yeah.
Log
Like
into each
in-game.
other's accounts.
In game, it's like, you want to play with your friends? Better install Discord.
Yeah.
Hit them up on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's annoying. And it's like one of those things where you're like, oh, surely they'll patch that. They're never going to. It's going to be like this forever, right? And then also, I think we should talk about like the value, right? Like this is a $40 game, $50 if you buy the physical version with the leg strap. It's got 6 games, dude. I mean, the last time they sold a Wii Sports game, it was Wii Sports Club, and you had to buy each game individually or buy the physical version. That was kind of a shit show. It didn't even crack 1 million sales on the Wii U, that game. Like that game was an absolute failure, right? But Wii Sports Resort was a game that they sold. I don't know if it was for a full 60, but that game was like packed, man. It had so much stuff. And like, not only did it have 12 games, it had, each one of those had like unique modes and training modes. And, like tennis had like little things you could try to hit to your targets or whatever. The Chambara equivalent from that originated in Wii Sports Resort, it was just called sword fighting in that game, had a mode where you would go down a bridge and there'd be all these attackers coming at you and you would have to hit them all off one at a time. Like that would be so cool if that were in this. But in this game, it really just is, here's the sports. You can play them online and in person, and that's really it, And so I don't know if that's something that they will add with updates. Like I feel like if they're going to add stuff with updates, it's just going to be new sports,
games,
right?
yeah. We know
so I
golf
think
is
that's
coming.
disappointing. Yeah, we know golf is coming.
This is a good time to maybe talk about that. But yeah, it does feel like kind of, I think Lynn, you said this, right? Like you got it out, you played it with your partner, you played all the games, and you're like, all right, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually do think 40 is a good price point if they're releasing that DLC and that's all going to be free. So when they release golf because we know that's coming. If they do release those other game modes for the existing sports and those are all free and not pay to play, I think then $40 is very reasonable. But there's no really foreseeing what they're going to do with that.
No.
Yeah.
This is that Nintendo problem we've talked about before, where they give free updates, they give paid updates without warning. We don't know what we're going to get. I think if you had to guess, I think the speculation we made before makes the most sense to me. It's going to be paid DLC, but free if you have the expansion pack of some additional games.
That's what I think. I think we'll get golf for free. And then I think, for everybody, right? Because they promised that at the beginning. We got another, I guess we have leg strap compatibility coming for soccer. So maybe they will be adding features to these. But yeah, I think because they said it's dropping in fall golf, right?
Yeah,
and so I think
too.
That is far off. It's you're gonna have to convince a lot of people to start playing this game again, right? I mean, golf is fun. We golf is super fun, but it's like I think the play is they're gonna do some sort of September direct or whatever, where they're like, and golf is out today or whatever. And in addition, here are more games we're adding that are available for $20 or with Nintendo Switch expansion pack, right? With the online. And then also, I feel like you gotta do a Black Friday bundle this year, right? To kind of replicate the pack in Wii Sports, right? So I think that's even another thing. You sell them a bundle and it comes with like a month-long trial of expansion pack. So you get all the full fleet of all the Wii Sports games that are in Switch Sports. And then your month is up and you're like, okay, well, you better subscribe to the expansion pack. I think that's kind of how they're going to play it. That's kind of like what I feel like that's been the pattern of what they've been doing recently.
It makes sense. Especially in the fall time, you bring people back, they want to experience golf. And then while they're back into the store, so to speak, you get them to spend more money on the service or the DLC.
Mm-hmm. And I think we should say that I didn't really even see this, but David, you shared this with us that there's been some data mining that suggests there's going to be some particular, or possibly there's some other sports planned specifically.
Yeah, there's within the data that has been mined, there have been found mentions of both basketball and dodgeball. Now basketball was in Wii Sports Resort, one of my least favorite games in Wii Sports Resort, to be honest. It wasn't very natural to play, but it feels like now that they've done like volleyball and soccer, I feel like you could make it kind of closer to soccer, you know what I mean, and have more control than you did in that game. Dodgeball sounds fun as fuck, though, right? I mean, like that would be a really fun one. That would be brand new, if that is to be believed. But either way, I don't. You have to think that they're not going to end it at golf. If it was just these 6 sports and golf, it would definitely feel like a very light package, right?
And it would feel weird to not just have golf from the get-go.
Yeah.
I do think that you're right, that there's a strategic, timing thing to get people to get back into it and then have things to buy or free. I think the expansion pack, we're just seeing that being pushed really big. So I think it's.
And dude, I think this game is going to do numbers. I think this game is going to do mad numbers. I think like Nintendo picked I think just release schedule wise, like when they put this out in the Switch's lifespan, this was, I think, a really good play. They've now gotten 100 million Switches out there, or there's 100 million, right? They got to that point, right? So it's like they've got 100 million of these things out there, mainly focusing on the core gaming demographic, right? And then, Animal Crossing came out and broadened that demo considerably to all these people that would have never picked up a Switch beforehand, right? And then it's been just steadily increasing this whole time. They've been looking out for other worlds to conquer, and they're like, okay, well, let's go back to that geriatric market. Let's go back to that blue ocean strategy. It's like now is the time that they're like, okay, your grandma loved Wii Sports. You better get her a Switch now. And it's like that's like
she's still around.
Well, I mean, fucking, I don't know. Maybe she was your aunt. Okay, maybe she was just your mom and now she's 65. All right, dude. Okay, time is a flat circle. But what I'm saying, is, look, they're not going to try to sell Switches to, I'm not going to, whatever.
To the dead. These numbers are falsified. Dead
it's like
people.
Dead voters
dead Switch players.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you find out that your whatever. Okay, anyway, it's like, why didn't she friend me yet? That's why. Oh no, go check on grandma. Anyway, I shouldn't have. Anyway, I just think it's like a very smart thing for them to do, and I think that I think a lot of people that have nostalgia for this, a lot of people that would just like want to have parties. You got to view this game not as a game, but as like a platform, right? It's like this is a platform to play with your friends and like have parties and like blah 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 blah, right?
That was the first thing my younger brother was like, "Hey, I had something else going on Friday night, but he said, Switch Sports just came out. You want to come over tonight and play it?" It was like the first day it came out. First thing he's like, "I'm having a party. We're playing Switch Sports."
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Yeah, and I had Rob over, right? Like Rob came over and we were playing both against each other and online, and it's like within like 20 minutes of us playing, he like pulled out a Switch and like went to the eShop and like bought the game. It's like I think there are so many people that have their own systems out there. They're gonna go over to their friend's house, play the game, and be like, "Oh fuck," and then go back to their own Switch and buy it on their own Switch. It's like, and that's the whole point of pushing the online, right? It's like it's not just one of our friends has to have it, and then we can all get together. It's like no, you guys can all play online, so get your own copies. So I think this thing's gonna do mad numbers.
I kind of had a random question. Have any of you tried playing it off of a TV and just obviously you can't play it handhold because you have to move, but have you tried playing it
not
sort
at
of
all.
mobile?
Tabletop.
I played some. I did some tabletop Chimbara.
I did it just to try it, just to see what it was like, and it was made me feel like I needed glasses. but it played the same. So that was kind of my test. Like, is it the same if I can sit on my couch and just kind of badminton around?
Yeah.
While you're watching
test.
a movie.
Yeah.
That's the future. Is you go to a restaurant, you're waiting for your food to come out, you set your Switch on the table, and you both knock the appetizers all over the place.
Because you can do
that. Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do
that.
I would love to do it. Let's look like idiots.
Let's go to Red Robin and fucking
fucking Red
I
Robin.
book my flight right now. I'm in.
While we're waiting for the horrible load between the games, I will play on my Switch Lite something else.
Yeah.
Check on your Animal Crossing villagers. While you wait for your online.
Exactly.
Well, we should wrap this up. We've gone a while, but I mean, is there anything else? We should
one
maybe
more
talk
thought
about the music and stuff too. I don't know how y'all feel about
one more thought about the DLC. I think like Spoko Square it looks great. It looks really robust. Originally when I saw some of the trailers, I would imagine that there would be a hub world or a free roam part of this game. Do y'all think we'll ever get a free roam?
No.
Or a hub world?
I want there to be. It'd be cool if there was like, I think it was Wii Fit, maybe it had like power walking or something where you could explore Woohoo Island or whatever. It'd be cool if you could do that in this place because it does all seem connected, right?
It does, and it has a personality and a vibe, and you see these buildings and you see the different tennis courts and stuff like that, and so it definitely makes you feel like there could be that, and that would.
I want to visit the Lululemon in Spoko Square, or the Apple Store that they have.
Red Robin.
They don't. No. There's no Red Robin. It's what do they have? They have what's like the bougie? What's the bougie burger place? What's that place called? They got one over by Alamo Draft House. Anyway, whatever. That place. Where they serve you aioli with your fries.
Hop Dotty?
Yeah. No, anyway, I'll figure it out. I'll remember as soon as we stop recording. But one thing I do want to say before we stop, you have in the
Burger
notes here,
King.
talk about
Name all the restaurants in Spoko Square. Let's list
it's
them
like a Shake Shack. I feel like Shake Shack is like a bougie burger place,
okay.
right? I feel like they'd have a Shake Shack.
Yeah. There's 6 Starbucks, one outside of each sports complex.
You see them sipping lattes in the background, the sports mates, while they're watching you.
I brought this up because before we were recording, there is a webpage dedicated to the locations at Spoko Square. So they have like a bookstore, they have an ice cream place, a crepe place, and like a juice and a soup bar. And like it's just the general mall complex makes it feel at some point that it feels like there was a free roam, at least either designed or expected.
And when you're bowling and you're doing a 2-player local but online, and one of you loses, it stays split screen, and that person just sits there. And like watches.
Yeah, just like sit. Yeah,
and they've
like,
got
I could have done better than that.
They've got the juices and the ice cream in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
on
like,
the
I don't want to
table.
watch you ball. I'm going to go get juiced.
I mean, you could. I mean, if they're adding leg strap functionality in this
You can
game,
walk
you could
around.
make it to where you're power walking in place or whatever, right? You know, they did it for Ring Fit.
You
Work.
got to walk off that tough L.
And speaking of Ring Fit, and this will be the last thing for me, I promise. You have here in the notes, we didn't talk about it, but are we sore yet? Are we sore?
I feel like after the first day, I was a little worried I would be, but I don't think so. I was a little worried my right arm just from like a lot of.
I'm just using my
repetitive.
right arm, you know, and so yes, I am sore to answer my own question.
Yeah. I would imagine what it's Lynn, you were talking about playing on the Switch screen, like it's like set up on a table and then you're like bent over trying to like look at it, like hunched over and like trying to like waggle.
Yeah.
Video games have come so far.
Yeah, really come
You go
full circle.
from this to
Yeah, to this, yeah.
from hunched to hunched.
Yeah.
For the listeners.
Yeah.
So it was a very physical bit of comedy.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube so
Yeah.
you can see all the
Yes,
stuff
you
we're
can
doing
see
with our
my-
bodies.
I think because we had such a marathon of it the first night we played it, and we did at least 3 matches of all 6 games. I did have that fear too of like, am I gonna be sore? Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
You just gotta take a break every hour, like the game tells you to do.
Yeah.
I did, yeah. It was like, oh, you've been playing for a while. You should get some water. And I was like, oh, maybe.
Well, I guess we should wrap it up. I did kind of want to ask y'all about the music because, you know, Wii Sports music is so iconic and people love the music from that game. Do you think this lives up to it? Is one final question.
10 out of 10 bops the whole way through.
Yeah, I was
IMO.
gonna say it slaps. Yeah.
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 Yeah. The opening song reminds me of that song from that Geico commercial with the caveman by like Royksop, where it's like, and everywhere I go, there's always something to remind me. It's like, sing that with the opening song. It'll fit every time. It's awesome. And then there's one, I think the badminton song reminds me of the Rainbow Road theme as well. That one's pretty tight.
Yeah. It feels very Nintendo, and it does feel very sports. I was gonna say Wii Sports, but it's Switch Sports, so it's new. But there's a little nostalgia there where it does feel still has that vibe.
The Wii vibe.
Yeah.
A lot of the music from that era was really great. Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, obviously we have a lot to talk about with this game, but we should call it here unless there's anything else somebody wants to squeeze in. Speak now or wait till next week.
One last thing about the bowling.
Okay.
First thing I try to do is throw it backwards. You can't do that in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
0 out of
My
10.
My last gripe. 0 out of 10. Can't throw it backwards. Nobody's spinning in the background.
All right. With that, we're going to take a short break and come back and talk about the other games that we have been playing recently. Honestly, I don't think I've played a lot of other games than Switch Sports this week. I played a lot of Switch Sports this weekend, and I feel like I have, but if I have, it's maybe just been a little bit more of like Link to the Past, which I've been replaying through, and I also play Smash a lot, and so it's really just been those things, which I've talked about
Very good.
on the podcast. So
I'll go next. But mainly been playing the same stuff. Switch Sports. Still playing Words with Freds, by the way. That like Wordle clone that's on the Switch. I'm like really addicted to it. Like even past just regular, because regular Wordle, you do one a day and you like do it in the morning or at night. And I've gotten so good at it. I'll get it like a couple tries and I'll do it really fast and feel like a genius. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to chase that dragon some more. So I open up Words with Freds, which is a $1 Wordle clone on the Switch, which is free if you own Love. And did I say this last week? But they did an update to the game where they added tons of features. Did I tell you that? They like added music to it and all this kind of stuff. It was, I don't know. It's really fun. It's been a ton of fun to play with like other people in the room and stuff like that. I want to like just do a whole Wordle stream. I think that would be really fun, actually. Try to get a streak. And then I did buy a Japanese eShop card. I went on Play Asia and bought a 5,000 yen card because I've been really looking forward to Pocky and Rocky Remastered. It's like, or excuse me, Pocky and Rocky Reshrined is what they're calling it. And it's like a remake of the Super Nintendo version of Pocky and Rocky. And and it's coming out in June in the US, but it's already out in Japan. It's been out for about a week. And the Japanese version on the eShop has a full English translation. So I just was like, yeah, okay, I'll try this out. And so I bought some Japanese eShop points. I got that game. I haven't played it a ton yet, but I bought that, and I also bought this game that is called Gmode Tetris Diamond. Right here, as you can see, which is right next to Tetris 99 on my Switch there. But I bought this game, and it is quite literally a port of a flip phone version of Tetris for Japanese cell phones. And so I don't really know why I got this. I feel like it's the most on-brand thing I've ever done. It's like a big Tetris fan. But it's like got cell phone graphics, and it's like you could play with like a cell phone border and shit like that. And it's all in Japanese. I don't know why, but I keep trying to play Pocky and Rocky Reshrined on my Switch, but I keep getting drawn to Gmode Tetris Diamond. And I'm really just playing the shit out of that right now. I'm having a really fun time. So that's basically what I've been playing this week. What about you, Matt?
I've been playing nothing but Switch Sports. And then I'm back on my VR bullshit. I've been playing a lot of Blade and Sorcery. I don't know if you've all been seeing this, but I've been seeing lots of Twitter posts about Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Yeah.
And like lots of memes about that game. And I just watched a video from Reddit that was like a 25-minute breakdown of Metal Gear Rising Revengeance and like what the story's about and how we don't have games that's over the top ridiculous anymore. But on a VR, they have like this mod based on Raiden's character in Metal Gear Rising, where you just slice people up and squeeze their spine and you get health. So I had to play it. We just cut people up and it was super fun.
Very good.
But it's so strange to see that game, which was not very well received at the time. Platinum Games releasing like a action brawler based on the Metal Gear franchise. Thought it was interesting. I don't know what that means, but let's get a sequel to that dumb game.
Yeah. Lynn, what about you? What have you been playing?
Oh, I've been playing. I'm still trying to 100% Kirby. I just haven't had the time to do it, but I'm very dedicated to 100%ing Kirby Forgotten Land. Playing a lot of Vampire Survivor. It's on Steam, and not an ad, but it's only like $3 or something. It's like $3 or $4, and it's just this very highly addicting roguelike. You know, you got your little character, and you're just slicing mobs. You're just trying to kill all the little goblins and ghouls and stuff, and the soundtrack is awesome. It's a little 16-bit game that like pixel graphics, and there's just something about it that's just it's very addicting. Yeah,
I feel like they've been pushing that game a lot. It's like I've seen it on the front page of Steam a lot recently.
Yeah, and I got it on a recommendation from a friend. Randomly like came into my stream and was like, "Hey, you should try this game." And usually I'm like, okay, like I'll get it, I'll play it once or twice and be like, but this game I'm hooked.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like a bullet hell kind of game.
What do you call it? It's like a roguelike kind of like it's the more you play, the more perks you get, the better you are at surviving and killing. So it's their half-hour segments where you're trying to survive for 30 minutes in these different maps. I've unlocked 3 of them so far. And
it's kind of like horde mode roguelike.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And there's different characters you can unlock who start with different perks. And so there's a lot of variety there as far as strategy goes. But yeah, the more you play, the more coins you get, the more you unlock, the easier it gets to survive and unlock those more difficult maps. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
Cool.
Nice little game.
Very nice. Well, that's our episode then, everybody. Thanks, LynCreates. Thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had such a great time.
It's been awesome. Thanks to MilkyWay.co, does our website. Thanks to Corduroy, who does our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick, you can find me online. Most places is PDYX.
Hey, I'm Matthew on Twitter, MATHYOU.
I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Lynn? Where can people find you online?
Pretty much anywhere you can find me. LynCreates, Lynn with one N. LYN Creates.
Very good. And that's your Twitch handle as well.
That's my Twitch. That's my Instagram. That's my Twitter. Yeah, that's my YouTube. I don't really have anything there. I think I have one video up on YouTube, but it's a pretty good one. It's a
Yeah.
it's a super cut of my stream. So
subscribe nonetheless to all the LynCreates channels. Yeah, very good. If you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook. We got a website, switchheadz.com. And then, of course, make sure you join our Discord and our Facebook group. Both of those are really great communities. It's always popping off in the Discord, baby. We're having a really great time in there. I've gotten some feedback recently also. Dylan was saying, like, he's like, you guys have like the best Discord. And I was like, hell yeah, I love to hear that. So make sure to follow Dylan Musk from Geek First Podcast. Follow his advice and join our Discord.
Yeah, join our Discord, really then tell us how good our Discord is.
Yeah. We just soak it up, baby. It's like fuel to us. All right. But yeah, do that. It's a great time. We'd love to have that. Yeah, and that's going to do it for our show. Thanks again, Lynn. What a fabulous time having you here on the show talking about this game. I'm invigorated to play more of this game myself. I wasn't sure if I would enjoy just playing solo online, but I'm having a great time with this game. I can't wait to do more. We're going to be back next week, everybody, with an all brand new episode, so make sure you tune into that. But in the meantime, stay safe out there, everybody. Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourself. Let's try to fill this planet with as much love and happiness as we can muster before we burn up the inevitable heat death of the universe or nuclear warfare, whichever comes first. We'll see you guys next week. We love you. Bye-bye.